bee friendly are the Bacillotharyngeus. You would know. No, this man here. If you want to know something about pesticides and what it will kill and what it won't, this guy here is like what I know about it is like right down here, but what he knows about it.
I'm licensed for the state of Tennessee, so I sort of sit in two camps. I try to educate people like there's certain things you don't want to do, and there's other things we can do, but they need to coexist together. So I try to help people understand that. Good example, a lot of systemics. If you use a systemic on a plant, it's only going to affect those insects which are actually eating the plant. Now, that can be a little bit detrimental if you got honeydew, so you got an aphid producing honeydew and the nectar's not flowing and the bees decide they want to try some honeydew. That will pass through to those bees, but it's going to be a small kill.
So what about systemics? Do they translate into pollen and nectar?
Do you know, if you look at that, let's take corn for instance.
Yeah.
Yes, we're seeing that getting into
corn pollen. Yeah.
Now, granted, that's not something bees are getting into because that's pollination, but yeah, there is that concern. I try to look at the numbers.
Right.
And what percentage.
Right.
But yeah, so many of the sprayed insecticides, they're going to have a contact kill. That's why a systemic is much better.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but it's you basically look at your plant, you see what's affecting the plant and see if especially if it's a chewing, sucking insect, try to stay with a systemic. In my opinion, and I've had state representatives disagree with me, I do not have a problem with something like bifenthrin, which is a synthetic erythroid and a granular, being spread under my hives. As long as it's watered in before, so basically do it in the evening, water it in. The bees are not necessarily rummaging around right under the hive.
Right.
Okay? So if I wanted to, for some reason, protect that area, I don't have a problem with that granule. There's a lot of people out there, my land, they'd be all up in arms and they would say, you don't want to put anything around your hives. Well, sometimes you have to. You do have to.
Yeah.
Okay? But you have to be smart about it. Always follow the label. The label is there. A lot of the labels nowadays are there to actually protect our bees. I had a situation with a pest control company, and I've only ever reported in over nearly 26 years, I've only ever reported 2 pest control companies, and one of them was because of an application while pollinators were present. And their licensee argued that he was allowed to have a secondary kill, and that is not the case. What a secondary kill means is like I can go and treat for ants, and if it kills carpenter bees, that's perfectly acceptable. Even though I'm not treating for carpenter bees, I'm allowed a secondary kill. When it comes to pollinators, and that's another important thing, pollinators. When pollinators are present, we have to define what a pollinator is. That's honeybees, native bees, which there's like 4,000 of them. We're looking at moths, butterflies, bats, beetles. It's just not honeybees. But in our labels under environmental hazards, it will state that when pollinators are present, you can not make an application. Well, he was out there spraying an insecticide on a lawn, and there was clover, and there was honeybees.
Yeah.
And I picked up the phone and said, and it was the fact the guy was an idiot and his licensee was an idiot.
That played a big part in getting reported.
Oh, that was it. I picked up the phone, and just so happens a good yeah, I mean, we're all idiots. We've all done make mistakes, but it just so happens, I will mention his name, Paul Sizemore, keeps bees, or he kept bees. Yeah. He's a supervisor. He's a good friend. I phoned him up and said, Paul. And Paul said, okay, let's take him out. So, yeah, I've sort of gone around the mulberry bush here a little bit because I try to cover a lot of different things very, very quickly. When handled and used correctly, they can be a tool, but always be aware of the consequences and how the application is going to be made.
Yeah.
I don't see problems with ants in my hives. Most of the time they're in the top a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually do migratory migratory lid, so I'm not using it in the covers or anything. But in a covers tent, the ants like to sit in the top there a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen fire ants once go after a hive, but that was really unusual.
Yeah, it is.
We got fire ants here yet?
We don't have fire ants here yet, but
Okay,
they're within 40 miles of here.
Right.
They'll be here.
You know, for us down south, yeah,
I hadn't seen that fire ants.
No,
With the little black ones you had.
but you know, so to me, if somebody really wanted to do something about ants, there's baits that you can put out in little green cups that you can stake out. Generally, it's a gel.
I haven't tried cinnamon yet, but I heard cinnamon.
No.
Doesn't work.
I loved the alternatives, but at the end of the day, the only thing that natural that I've ever found to work is borax with mint apple jelly mixed in. Put it into a straw and lay it out.
Yeah, so the bees can't get into it.
Right. Yeah. Another thing I will suggest as well. I've seen it in commercial bees. Stay away from putting roach bait into your hive.
Yeah,
Okay?
I've seen that.
What?
The active ingredient is fipronil. That product is brilliant, but it is also pretty lethal. And this is where I sort of like, don't put roach bait into your hive, but then again I look at things like formic and oxalic acid and go, really? What's the big argument?
Yeah.
What about diatomaceous earth around the base of the hives?
Love diatomaceous earth, but basically you're looking at a fossilized crustacean that's been around for millions of years. Unfortunately, it's what we...
It's a mechanical kill, correct?
Yeah, it's basically a defoliator. It's like razor blades.
It just rips the invading species to
Absolutely.
pieces.
Truthfully, in your soil, I've never done enough with it to really give you an opinion.
Okay.
My opinion is it should work, but I'm not too sure if it would work.
Okay. Like if I've seen ants crawling up the hives, the base that the hives are sitting on, the footers, I've dusted around.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't think that
Because
hurts.
there's zero risk to the bees, right? It's a It's not a poison.
It basically shreds the exoskeleton.
They have to physically touch it,
Yeah,
correct?
they physically got to touch it. That's why
We'll shred the bees if the bees make
Yeah.
if they get into it. But that's why I like diatomaceous earth. Let's say you're doing pest control around the house and you put it into a void. It's going to sit there for the next million years.
Put it into a what?
Into what we call a void.
Okay.
So anywhere where,
As long as it stays dry.
yes, as long as it stays dry.
If it gets wet, it gives it a solid.
Right,
Thank
and
you.
that's why I sometimes wonder if it really works with the earth when you put it into the earth.
Okay.
It works as long as it's dry.
Dry. Yeah. As soon as it rains, it's done. Yeah.
So instead of me putting an insecticide in your house, which is going to basically have no viability 6 months later, a diatomaceous earth into a void, or maybe let's say in your crawl space on your sill plate.
Yeah.
You know, and here's another thing with diatomaceous earth. If you're going to use it as a dust, I shouldn't be able to see it. It should be like that dust you see on the dining room table that floats down. That's the dust level. I've gone into properties and I've seen mountains of dust.
Oh, sure.
Well, I got a neighbor that does.
More is better, isn't it?
Over application.
It's like it's like
Yeah.
on top of it.
Now you're basically producing something which is a deterrent. You know, the insect comes up to it and goes, hell no, I'm going around it. Okay? You want it to walk
Through it. Yeah.
So that idea of a very fine dust, again, is much more beneficial than. I'm sorry, Kent.
No, hey,
Carry on.
Kent's
I'm learning. I'm learning too.
Well, here's a better idea. Put just a little bit enough to kind of tear the insect out just a little bit, so that way it can walk back to the nest. And its members of its species say, "What the hell happened to you?" Well, I went over there and that happened to me. So I don't advise going over there.
Is this from personal experience of going to a party and coming home?
I think that's more of a better.
Yeah.
Did you make
That's
those
sooner
bars,
than they
Kent, or you
talk.
bought them? They sell them.
These,
Yeah.
they buy. I buy
You
them.
buy
They
'em.
sell them.
It's JZBZ.
It is. Yeah, this is JZBZ.
I'm just going to interject the whole
The
idea
easy
that
peasy
the
JZBZ.
Yeah. JZBZ, easy
Easy
peasy.
peasy.
Yeah.
Lemon squeezy.
Lemon squeezy.
So the issue is that the beetle. If
He
it's
is drinking
not
something with
designed
lemon in it.
to
It looks
kill
like.
I am.
So when the
Lemon
beetle gets
squeezy.
into
Lemon
the
squeezy.
Yeah.
Its cell is
What's
moving
going on,
around.
Ken?
It might
It's
have
been
it
a rough
on its
year.
body.
That's generic
Of
sun-
course,
sunblock.
as you've seen, the bees will basically
What?
chase
She
hive
cutting you
beetles
off or what?
and basically
Well,
try to bite them.
I have discovered that the more carbonated drinks that I drink, the more I have to pee.
Oh,
And if I'm sitting in a crowd and know I'm going to be sitting in this crowd for
For
4 to
hours.
5 hours, I don't need to drink that many carbonated drinks. After you guys leave, I'm on an IV drip of Sundrop.
is that your favorite?
Diet Sundrop.
Yeah.
Diet Sundrop, and actually Diet Sundrop was invented at the same time Sundrop was. It was invented in Mayfield, Kentucky.
Really?
That was the very first and the only Sundrop manufacturing plant for years.
So you're just loyal.
Graves County, if you find somebody that was born and raised in Graves County, they're going to have a refrigerator and a pantry full of Sundrop. That's just the Graves County drink. It's like Ale 8 around
Ale8 in
around
Winchester. I was
Winchester.
getting ready to say
Same
it's
thing.
Ale8 in Winchester.
Same thing.
Now,
My son loves
Sundrop's
that.
produced down in Pulaski, Tennessee as well, right?
Well, Sundrop is produced in 2 or 3 different places now, not in Mayfield anymore.
Yeah.
Because
the cane sugar bottle Sundrop used to have the
Heard of Sundrop.
a little bit of sediment at the bottom.
yeah, well, you can still tell, and people from this is a Graves County thing. When we pick a bottle of Sundrop out of a cooler, we hold it up, look at it, and if there's a bunch of floaters in there, it's a good one. That's the one we want, the one that has a bunch of floaters in it.
What does it taste? What is it like? Is it a
It-
lemon lime? What is
Sundrop is it's like a tart, strong Mountain Dew.
Wow. So it's got a lot of caffeine in it.
More caffeine. The old Sundrop advertisement said it was always green and gold, and it was a gold coffee cup on a green background that said Sundrop, as refreshing as a cup of coffee. That was, and I think they still have some of these old country stores still have that sign hanging up. Yeah, as refreshing as a cup of coffee. That's because a Sundrop had as much caffeine as a cup of coffee.
Hey Kent,
Yeah.
Richard Birkin says hello.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's my driver trainer.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
you were talking about something local, and I wanted to make sure I said hello for him. There it is.
Well, next time you see Richard, said tell him I think of him often. And not bad thoughts. Not bad thoughts. We've worked on several Emmaus teams together.
Like a dang Kindle.
It was kind of funny that I walked in to have a driving coach who's also a pastor. So I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
okay, we can talk.
That's right. Right. And Bren was talking about fipronil a while ago. Fipronil, the roach bait, it will kill small hive beetles. But if you use either one of the organic acids in a hive, what that does, fipronil does not vaporize by itself. In the formula that it's in the roach traps, it won't vaporize. Problem is the beetles don't die in the trap. They get it on them and they come out into the hive.
To where the bees
But
are.
it will vaporize when it's in contact with an organic acid. So if you put a formic pad on a hive that has a roach trap in it, you have a high likelihood of killing that hive.
Wow.
Yeah, sure do. That nobody knows. Nobody knows. I mean,
How
about
about we
that.
just keep the roach baits out of the hives?
That would be a good idea. Yeah,
I've seen it on Facebook. People posting pictures with roach bait.
I've used roach bait for severe cases of small hive beetles before, but Fortunately, I never used a roach bait at the same time I used an organic acid. And then I found out about that, and I was like, whoa. You know, I've seen hives that had just piles of dead bees in the hive. That's it. You know, a summertime hive, you know, a winter kill hive with a bunch of dead bees on the bottom board, that happens because they can't fly out and do the house cleaning and everything in cold weather. But a summertime hive with a pile of dead bees on the bottom board, and when fipronil kills a hive, you don't have a big pile of bees in front. It's not like an ag pesticide kill. It's mostly inside the hive, and I've seen summer hives like that of people that say, "What killed my bees?" And they always take the roach trap out of there before they take pictures of it.
Oh.
You know, but I mean that's a very good possibility. I don't know that that's what it is, but I know that is something that happens.
What is a better method for killing a small hive beetle infestation if the colony is not already got, meaning it's not completely slimed yet, but you've just got small hive beetles everywhere and the colony still appears pretty healthy? What is your preferred method?
Number one, if you see larvae in a hive on a frame, you may not think there's larvae in it. But if you see several adult hive beetles in there, take the frame out and just lay it in the sun for just a few seconds, and it'll just bubble up. If there's larvae in there, they'll just bubble up, and not bubbling, but they just appear. I mean, it's horror movie stuff, you know.
Gross, right?
Well, it's not gross. It's just alarming, you know. When you have a frame that you don't think there's anything going wrong with, but you know that there's hive beetle adults in there, and maybe the bees aren't covering that, and it's almost like you can't see these beetles just looking down into the comb. You can't see them very well, or I can anyway. But if you lay it in the sun, they just all come up to the top and spread out on the frame. They can't stand the light, and that alarms them. They're coming up, they're leaving there. But remove those frames from the hive. Get those larvae out of there. Take a 5-gallon bucket and just shake them off into the bucket, and throw some vegetable oil in there. And the freakiest thing about hive beetle larvae is that it takes a lot to kill them. If you're not talking about mashing it with a hive tool, until you hear it pop, it's not dead. You can think you've got one mashed and take your hive tool up and it'll crawl off. They are tough. So, and when we first started having small hive beetles, everybody had a solution. And you could read all these different solutions. Well, this works on them. All you got to do is this. All you have to do is this. This don't work, but if you do this, and one of the things was mix up a bleach water solution and spray the frame with it that has hive beetle larvae on it, and they'll die. Well, yeah, I mean, they'll die, but it may take them a year. You know, that. I had, where I have the most problem with hive beetles is in mating nukes, because it's a perfect environment. It's a queenless environment. The bees are not necessarily hygienic. And when the virgin does not come back from mating flight, the beetles have their way with the mating nuke. If you're not right on the ball and put material back in there to make those bees hygienic again, the beetles will, in certain times of the year, July on especially, the beetles will come back and just destroy it. And so I had a bunch of mating nukes, and later on in the summer, and by the way, I know the place looks a little bit junky, looks a little bit farmish here.
It's a farm.
It is, but
You'd be weird if it was.
I want to make sure that everybody knows that you're here on the 3 to 4 days of the entire year that it looks clean. To us, it looks clean. The other 361 days of the year, this place don't look like much. You know, I mean, it is strewn. It is, there's dirt, dust everywhere. The chickens are running loose. I mean, it looks, It looks like you don't want 100 people to come in and sit there and have to put up with it. Anyway, those times of the year, I have mating nukes all out in these pine trees, and I mean on the ground under the pine trees. And shade is very conducive to having small hive beetle issues. But if you got a mating nuke, you can kind of tend to it. And I'll have 200, 250 mating nukes around here. And for myself personally, if it's close to the house, I take a lot better care of it because it gives me a guilt trip to walk out the door and see this stuff that I should have done 2 days ago. But not long after we started having small hive beetles, I read about the bleach water thing. So I go to a mating nuke. Sure enough, there's a bunch of hive beetle larvae. It's not slimed yet, but there's a bunch of them on frames. So I just take a frame, lay it on the tailgate of the truck, mix up some bleach water. I mix it about 10%. The standard bleach to water ratio, and I spray it. And the beetle larvae seemed to kind of like it. It didn't bother them at all. I thought, okay, I'll mix it a little heavier. So I mixed it about 50% bleach, 50% water, and I sprayed them really heavy. And they didn't care at all. Didn't matter at all. I thought, well, okay, we'll try this. So I just dumped a bunch of them in a quart jar that had pure bleach in it. And I thought, we'll just see how long you'll live in that. And I went about working the nukes, and an hour and a half later, they were still wiggling in pure bleach. Small hive beetle larvae are tough, I'm telling you. There are things that will kill them, but it's not bleach. Oil will kill them. Oil will stop up the spiracles and keep them from being able to breathe. And the lighter the oil, the better. I just use a light vegetable oil with them. And when I find a frame that has a bunch of beetle larvae on it, I take a 5-gallon bucket, knock the beetle larvae off into that 5-gallon bucket, and pour some canola oil or something like that in it, and listen to them scream.
Here's a new use for your thing.
Yeah, that's right. Right. But after that, all that does is get rid of the larvae that are there at the time. It don't get rid of eggs. It don't get rid of adult beetles.
But just shaking dislodges the vast majority of the larvae.
You can take the frame on a 5-gallon bucket and go, and you'll get almost all the hive beetle larvae off of it into that bucket. But and that's non-toxic. It's not going to hurt the bees at all doing something like that. But that just addresses one particular symptom for one particular day, and the eggs are going to hatch and become more larvae. There is the GrubX patty that University of Georgia is working on. They have graduated from leaching the water through the GrubX and making a patty out of the water that comes out of it. They've graduated from that to using the actual chemical that's in GrubX and making patties with that, and that's very effective against larvae. It will not hurt bees. Bees will brood up the same as they would with. Now, this is absolutely an off-label treatment,
right?
But it will stop the larval spread. It won't kill the adults. It does not have an effect on the adults, but when they lay eggs in that GrubX patty, the larva won't survive it. When
and
the
what's
egg
the
hatches,
active ingredient, Kent?
I'm not even sure. Let me look. I'll show you the stuff that University of Georgia uses, if I can find it.
I was last year on one of mine. It's like they're all in the same spot.
Yeah.
One was just overrun with like, what's different about that one? I just sat down there and I've been watching it, and I had the birds literally flying in to the top of the hive.
Was the colony queen? Was it queenless?
No, it was a good strong colony, but they was flying in like ain't nobody stopping us. They was going in that upper end. And all the rest of the hives, you know, I had screens over the circle in the middle. I used to keep screens on. So if they do get in, they can't get to the screen. But that one didn't have a screen on the inside. And I had the knots turned down. So either way, it didn't matter. But they were just flying like crazy.
Was it in a shady, damp location?
No, I have 3 right there. It is a little shady. 60% of the time. Right out in the field with dress on that. That was an issue.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning, you know.
In my area, if the hives get plenty of sun, I'm gonna knock on wood here or whatever. I feel like I haven't had much of a small hive beetle issue.
I've seen pictures here so far on 20 colonies.
Okay.
But Patty, do you just lay it on top of the frame?
Yeah, you just lay it on top of the frames. It's just a pollen patty. Is all it is. I guess I must have used all that I got, or maybe loaned it out, gave it away. But you can Google it.
What's it called? Just
Acelepryn.
Acelepryn.
ACEL PRYN is a Acelepryn. I don't know if it's an A or an O, but ACELOPRYN.
And which university?
University of Georgia.
Makes
Dr. Lewis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard.
Yeah. Lewis,
Yeah.
The Brit guy.
Yeah. And he's the one that first started experimenting with grub eggs. And it's the active chemical that's in grub eggs. But I think it's 25 pounds of pollen sub with 1.5 ounces of Acelepryn. You mix sugar syrup with the Acelepryn and then make your patties with 25 pounds of pollen sub. And it works great, but we almost never use anything like that just because we don't have that big of an issue because we're always in the hives. And they're big hives. We make sure the hives are big. Occasionally, you'll see what this gentleman's talking about. It's rare, but you see it sometimes where the bees just get overwhelmed by the massive numbers of adults that come into a hive. Small hive beetles can take over a hive without the hive being weak.
Oh yeah.
They can. But the traps will work, but they won't save a hive. You'll think that you're doing a lot of good, but it only takes 2 or 3 hive beetle adults to lay enough eggs to destroy a hive.
I think if you run screen bottom boards as well with an insert,
Right.
we sometimes neglect to go all the way down to the bottom because it's like, well, we're down to the brood chamber, we have a quick look. But sometimes all that cappings that have fallen through, it's a great breeding area.
It is.
And I had one old hive that I sort of neglected for a while, and I broke it down yesterday. And it was like, oh my land, I've got as many hive beetles at the bottom, if not more, than I had at the top.
Yeah, especially if you got a restriction in the opening.
Yeah, so that basically was all the mess that had fallen down.
And it's a space that the bees can't patrol.
Camp patrol, and it's a great place for basically the larvae to.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't use this particular control for hive beetles, but especially Lynn, because Lynn that does a lot of the work in Mississippi. He kind of double dips. He works for the broker that we send bees to almonds with. He works for him, goes out to California and loads and unloads bees and places them in orchards and does the work out there. He's working for him, but it's comforting to me because our bees are there too, and feel like we got somebody there with his thumb on the scale, helping out, making sure that ours are taken care of just like everybody else's. But our broker's great because if you ever decide to go to almonds, that's where you want your focus to be. Make sure you get a great broker. If you don't, it can be a nightmare. And you won't even get paid for it. But
Do any commercial beekeepers ever try to skip the broker as the middleman and work directly with the growers?
No,
No, you always go through a broker.
always go through a broker. Even Richard 80's operation, they still used brokers. I mean, they had 140,000 hives that they put in almonds, and at one time. Now it's Brett and Kermit 80, and their sons that are doing all of it. And I don't know how many hives they've got, but they're still big beekeepers. But they still work through brokers because that the growers are going to inspect the hives. They hire people to inspect the hives, and you want a broker as a go-between, so that you don't have to be there for everything. And you got that many hives, you just can't be there for all of it. But anyway, Lynn gets to rub shoulders with a lot of really big beekeepers, 40,000, 50,000 hive guys, and in California. And what they use for, I mean, I'm talking about the big beekeepers, that they need something that is going to make sure that there's no hive beetles in their hives, period, because you can't go around to 50,000 hives, even if you got a big crew. You can't go around to 50,000 hives making sure everything's queen right all the time. That's when beetles will take over for sure, is when a hive goes queenless. But what they use, we never have to use this, because we can still manage all the hives and check them, make sure everything's queen right and everything's good. But what they use is tau fluvalinate and vegetable oil. And there's no reason that should kill a hive beetle, but it will kill adult hive beetles. But they have to track over it. And they mix it at a 25% rate, 25% fluvalinate, 75% vegetable oil. And they dribble that across the end bars and around the edge of the bottom board. That's where the beetles travel.
Is the vegetable oil an attractant to the adult small hive beetles?
A little bit, but not really. That's not. It's just a carrier.
Okay.
It's something that holds that fluvalinate. It allows it to spread out, and it's a carrier for the fluvalinate, and it keeps the fluvalinate active for a longer amount of time, because the oil does not allow it to dry out and evaporate.
And obviously it doesn't harm the honeybees, fluvalinate.
Fluvalinate that's been a miticide for ever since 1992 or 93. So I mean, it's not the product that's illegal, it's the delivery that's illegal, and the application. It's not supposed to be applied for killing hive beetles, and it's sure not supposed to be dribbled in a hive. But you're not putting it you're just putting it around the edges where beetles will travel, across the end bars and around. And we have bees in the same area as several different large commercial beekeepers, and that's all in South Mississippi. You never get a break from beetles in South Mississippi. They're reproducing every day of the year. But these larger beekeepers, they never have any beetle problems. You can't find a beetle in their hives, and that's what they use. But we've never had to use it, because we're in our hives enough that a hive that goes queenless or a hive that's having problems, if we're in a yard that has 120 hives in it, you might see one hive that's leaned up against a tree or something with a frame scattered out. Over a summer, you might see 1 out of 100, 1% of them, that has the frame scattered out where we've turned the larva loose before that until a larva crawls out of the hive to pupate on its own, it's not mature enough to pupate, and it probably won't survive coming out and at a young age. So it's not really a danger of putting them back into the soil.
So can the fluvalinate and oil, it sounds like it's used as a preventative, but can it also be used to treat a colony that already has a substantial amount of small hive beetle? Okay.
Yeah, if you've got adult hive beetles in there, you'll see all kinds of dead hive beetles out in front of the hive. Okay. I mean, I've been through these guys' bee yards and seen dead hive beetles on the bottom board, of the pallet and out in front of the front entrance. And the first time I saw that, I said, well, you must have a problem with this hive. And Darren said, well, why is that? And I said, well, your hive beetles are obviously having a health issue. They're dying at the front door. He laughed. He said, well, that's the trade name for the fluvalinate is Maverick. Maverick, it has some letters after it, Mavrik. And he said, oh, that's Maverick. They have that Maverick disease. And he's Lynn is the first one that told me about how they mix that stuff. But he said, "You think we'll ever need any of that? I'll bring some of it back." I don't see any use in having it. I mean, we don't even. We have made Grub-X patties, but it's kind of a non-issue here. If you're in your hives enough, you can pretty well control small hive beetles. But here's another thing. Small hive beetles are attracted by the alarm pheromone. And if you're in a hive and those bees activate their alarm pheromone, and you may not be able to smell it, but believe me, insects can. That's going to attract adult hive beetles to that hive, because that's a hive to them. That's a hive that's in trouble, and they're less likely to be detected and kicked out of the hive in a hive that is focused on surviving other problems going on. And that's why you remove a hive from a structure, and you may not even notice any hive beetles in it when you remove it, or you may see a few adults, but there's no larvae. You put that into a hive, and it just explodes in hive beetles. That's why that alarm pheromone from the trauma of the bees being taken out of a structure triggers those beetles to all just lay eggs everywhere.
And small hive beetles are opportunists, right?
They are, yeah. Yeah.
Interesting you say it like that, because I did a removal the other day, and they was in there for 7 days. That's it. They just moved in last Friday before last. I removed them on Sunday, and there was a few adult hive beetles in that cavity. And
Yeah.
the bees was on there 7 days.
Yeah.
It was neat. They found them pretty quick.
Yeah, they will. I've worked through hives, choosing hives to raise queens from, because if I'm going to graft from a hive, I'm not doing that here because it takes too much time. Because you would have to have a school that was at least 4 or 5 days long to be able to do this, and I like staying married, 3 days is enough.
Is enough.
for Valerie anyway. The first day if I'm choosing a hive to graft from, I will pick the hive. I'll go through it, make sure it's healthy, make sure that it is what I think it is. I pick a hive that is big and just rolling with bees, and I will put food on that hive. I'll put pollen sub patties on that hive and put a feeder on it, a bottle feeder or a bucket feeder or something like that on it, even if there's a honey foe, just to make sure that there's every opportunity to get every drop of food that they need. And that's on a Monday. I wait Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, either late Wednesday, early Thursday. I go back, and that's when I'm going to set up a cell builder and choose a grafting frame and graft, because that 3 days of feed that they have on them is going to produce larvae that have a ton of royal jelly around them. They have way more royal jelly, and makes your grafting lots easier. You guys that have grafted some, you've seen larvae that had more royal jelly than some of them had less, and from doing it that the ones that are kind of dry are a lot tougher to graft. And when you do get them out on the little sliver of horn, sometimes are kind of wadded up. And those larvae are not going to be, they're going to be cannibalized. They're not going to be made into a queen. But that big pool of royal jelly, you're not even coming in contact with the larva with your grafting tool. It's sliding under the royal jelly. Those are the great larvae. That's why I feed. And 3 days before I'm going to graft. But the point of this is dealing with small hive beetles. I can be in that hive, see absolutely no adult hive beetles, and it'll be a big boiling over hive. And when I come back 3 days later, there will be dozens, if not hundreds, of adult hive beetles in there. They were attracted to that hive and just flocked to that hive because of the alarm pheromone that was emitted by those bees. And I couldn't smell bananas. I have a very keen sense of smell and sense of taste, and which is why I drink Sundrop. But I have a very keen sense of smell, and I couldn't smell any bananas. But insects have such a phenomenal sense of smell, and I have no way of knowing if this is true or not. It's just something I read that was printed in a book that said small hive beetles can detect a honeybee hive from 10 miles away. And I have no reason to say that's not true, but truth is, things that are written in books, if you hadn't already seen that to verify it yourself, you have no idea if it's right or not. You're just trusting the guy that wrote the book. I had an airplane.
Who followed that hive beetle for 10 miles?
Right. When hive beetles first came, we had hive beetles here before we had them in South Mississippi. And I was at Dwight Gunner's place, and he used to have a fellow that he worked with, kind of like I work with Lynn, named Jim Henready. And me and Jim I really enjoyed his friendship. He was just a great guy to talk to because he was very dry. He was very blunt. He was to the point. Don't ask him his opinion if you don't want the unvarnished opinion from Jim. And we were sitting drinking a soda pop at the end of one day, and I just showed up there at the end of the day because I had a bee yard over here and I was staying over here, and that halfway in between, I just stopped to visit. And we were sitting in lawn chairs out in front of their shop, and a hive beetle flew up and just landed on the concrete there in front of us. He said, "Well, there's one of those SOBs right there." And I said, "Yeah, I think it is." And he said, "How do they get in hives?" I said, "Well, they fly to them and fly in there." He said, "Well, how far will one of them things fly?" And I said, "Well, Jim, I have read that they'll fly 35 miles in one jump, 35 miles. He sat there a minute and he said, "Is that somebody that tagged one of those and followed that tag for 35 miles? Or is that two guys like me and you sitting here drinking a soda pop saying, I bet that SOB will fly 35 miles. I told him, I said, probably the latter, Jim, I would guess. But I've read that that small hive beetles can detect a honeybee hive, and it's all by sense of smell from 10 miles away. So they're going, if there's hive beetles in the area, they're going to know that hive had a tiny bit of alarm pheromone in the air, and they're going to smell it, and they're going to come to it. And when you work through a hive, and you come back to it a few days later, and there's hive beetles in it, there you go. They're not there because they're aiming to kill the hive. They get there and they think, whoa, this isn't at all what we expected. There's all kinds of bees in here, and they all hate us. And so it's not like that you're causing the death of the hive, but you did bring a bunch of hive beetles in there, and they will migrate from that hive to a weaker hive. And what hive beetles do is they live in the upscale suburb and go to the slums to destroy it. That's the best analogy that I can give. They will live in a good, prosperous hive that keeps the humidity and temperature right. and has plenty of food in there for them, but they almost never destroy them, partly because that big hive keeps the eggs and young larvae carried out of the hive. But when they detect a hive down the row here that is in trouble, they will migrate out of this prosperous hive into this hive that's in trouble, and that hive that's in trouble will not be able to withstand the hive beetle larva pressure that is put on them. And then they'll leave. Hive beetles don't want to stay in that hive that gets slimed. They don't like it any better than the bees do. And they'll come out of that and go back to the prosperous hive and live. And they will winter in that prosperous colony.
Bees will feed them too, right? Because it's
Yeah.
in the dark.
Bees will they will propolize around the hive beetles and like put them, it's called a beetle jail. They'll put them in these little beetle jails. But then the beetle will, it's like the bees go back to the beetle jail and they poke a little hole in it and say, "Hey, you still in there?" You know, and the beetles will stick their tongues out, begging for food, and the bees feed them.
That's how I lost a colony, because these damn bees treated these damn beetles like pets.
They're trophylalics.
Yeah,
They feed off honey, but they lay eggs in the pollen. Or what?
they have to have protein.
Oh, they do. Okay.
For any creature to reproduce, it has to have
Protein.
some kind of amino acid content there. Has to have protein. And so it's like honeybees in the winter. You know, the beetles that are in those beetle jails are not reproducing. Honeybees on January 1st are usually not reproducing. They will survive just fine, just on carbohydrates. They don't need protein. Honeybees don't need protein in the winter. In fact, it's detrimental. I got a lot of pictures sent to me this spring. First thing this spring, it had bee feces on the outside of the hives. That's usually a sign of nosema, because the bees are so weak from having nosema. Their midgut is just totally, their digestive system totally disrupted. And they're so weak they can't really fly. Normally bees fly out of the hive to defecate, but if they're weak, they'll just crawl up the side of the hive, defecating as they go. And it'll be streaks of bee feces up and down the sides in front of the hive. And if they're really weak, it'll be on the inside of the hive too. And I bet I got 30 different people that sent me pictures of what's going on here. Is this nosema? What do I need to do about this? I'm afraid my bees are going to die, and if my bees die, we're all going to starve to death, and all that kind of thing, you know. But every single one of the pictures, the feces was dark brown or dark red. It was a dark color, and the answer to that, the bees had been confined in the hive, had not been able to fly out and defecate for 4 weeks, and which is unusual in West Kentucky. Didn't have a warm day to fly out for 4 solid weeks, and there were 2 things involved there. Either the bees, all the honey that they had to eat was really dark honey, and we talked about that before, high mineral content honey that the bees cannot metabolize, those high mineral content honeys as well. Either that or they had a protein patty that they were feeding on in the hive, and there again, high mineral content. And bees do not need protein to survive in the winter. They need carbohydrates. And those things together disrupted their digestive system, and it made this dark feces, but it was dysentery, that because their midgut was it's almost like us having dysentery. Our digestive system's all messed up, and normally feces from nosema is light gray, white to light gray, and the higher the mineral content, the darker the feces will be, because that mineral has got to go somewhere. And the color of a protein patty, that was the color of the feces. And all of those problems straightened themselves out as soon as the bees could fly and take cleansing flights, and were getting a normal sort of diet. So same way with the hive beetles. They don't need protein to survive when they're in a beetle jail. They just need carbohydrates. So they beg for food. The bees feed them food, and the beetles survive until we open the top of the hive, and then it's a jailbreak. Speaking of jailbreaks.
Speaking of jailbreaks, I'm here. Everybody that's outside, come on in. We're going to do announcements real quick. Oh, okay. They're coming around? Okay.
Gosh, Kent, you've got a good grip today.
Well, it was good till you showed up, Bob. This is Bob Moore, and Bob is a special man. To me, Bob is like a beekeeping hero.
Oh gosh.
Because Bob went overseas into a war zone, helping rebuild the agricultural sector of a community, a part of the world that it had been destroyed by warfare.
Oh, wow.
And he suffered for it. And anybody willing to do that for another person and for this country, that's my beekeeping hero. Now Bob teaches ag biology at Austin Peay University, and he brings a class out here every year, and sometimes more than once a year, just to see what the other side of life looks like. So, Bob Moore.
Mike Harris tells me that I'm actually a bee haver.
Bee haver? Yeah.
Well, I didn't say you were a beekeeper. I just said you was a bee hero.
Bee hero. Well, hey, thanks everybody for coming today. And actually, Bob, I think, brought about 25 students with him today. Hope you have a great time. My name's Chuck Collins. I'm the president of the Lake Barkley Beekeepers Association, and I'm also a member of the board of the KSBA, the Kentucky State Beekeeper Association. We've got some flyers up there that if you're interested in joining that as well, along with Kentucky Certified Honey Program. And I also sell bee stuff, so that's where I'm going to be kind of headed up there through the day. So the agenda today is real simple, but before that, I'll start with some housekeeping. Obviously, if you didn't see it already, when you have to take a cleansing flight, right they're right outside the wall here on the other side of the barn, and there's a water fountain over here for hand washing, and there's waters, there's coffee, there's tea, there's donuts up there now if you didn't see them when you came in, and all kinds of snacks that you can enjoy through the day. Lunch is going to be about 12 o'clock, and the listen for the cowbell. There's always more cowbell. He's just shaking his head. He was standing too close the other day when that happened, when the cowbell went off. So listen for that. I think today's hamburgers and hot dogs and some all the stuff that goes along with that. So that's great. We have been real lucky this week. Good chance of rain for the last couple of days. Thursday was very nice, but we dodged it yesterday. I think we're going to dodge it today. So let's hope. But if it does start to rain, there's plenty of places to come get out of the rain. So please do that. This is Kent's farm. Careful where you step. Check yourself for ticks. I'll give you all the buzzwords here because it is a thing. And we always want to make sure that everybody that gets here gets to leave on their own 2 feet, and those who don't, nobody's missing them, right? As far as you know.
Yeah. We never lost anybody that mattered.
Yeah, no,
that's right.
Nor that they can prove it. They can't prove it anyway. So
we got a big field back here. Lots of places to bury you.
Lots of places. We do ask that you at least have a veil on when you're out in the bee yard. You can do everything. You can get stung anywhere you want to. We just want you to leave with both eyes. And if you do happen to get stung in the face, we like to take pictures of those and share them on the internet. Please let us know if that happens. Anyway, the agenda today is pretty simple. We want you first off to go to the sessions that you feel comfortable with, but I want you to ask questions about what it is you're looking to learn, and no matter what the session is, if there's a question that comes to mind, please ask that. We can go in that direction, or we can point you to another source, but we'll make sure we address that. But we want you to drive this conversation and want you to get the experience that you want to have when you come here. So obviously Queen Ring and Kent's never-ending hot air. Can I, is that what we're
Actually, I was thinking BS, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happens here in the barn. Like I said, that's Queen Ring specifically. This morning, I'm pretty sure we have two groups of folks from the Lake Barkley Beekeepers that are going to take you out and do basic hive inspections. So for all the new beekeepers, please take that advantage. Hold these in your hands, get as close as you want, get as comfortable as you want. I'm sure there's some people here that don't have bees yet that are fixing to get them. And speaking of that, Rick asked me, and I don't see him, but Rick, Rick says if there's anybody here that's arranged to pick up nukes from him, he's got them ready to go today. So see Rick over there. Rick, raise your hand. Yeah, there he is. So if you arrange to do that, that's the guy. So we'll do basic inspections. Jordan Haynes, where's Jordan over there? He's out that song. Yeah, and he's wearing the blue gloves. He's gonna be standing right over there. He's gonna yeah, right over there by the Dodge. He's gonna make splits this morning. So if you're interested in learning how to make splits, he'll go do that. After lunch, and again, these things you can switch back and forth. There's not no tether that you have to hang on to. So do what you like with either one of those groups. Joe Goatley, yes sir.
So Joe is going to be passenger side of the Ram truck out here.
Yeah.
And then as a point of order, Zach is under the canopy doing top bar hive inspections.
Fantastic. Just right here. Yeah. So Zach English is here with top bar hives, if that's something you're interested in. So he'll do that this morning as well. But at least Joe and I think Chris. Yeah, there's Chris. Chris Noss is gonna take again 2 groups of people doing just basic hive inspections for the new beekeepers. After lunch, Jordan and again, so these times are all pretty much approximate. So about 1 o'clock or sometime after 1 o'clock, Jordan meets up here and does swarm trapping. There is he also talks about pests and diseases, but you'll learn a lot about that sitting in here as well. And Al Krim, wave his hand over there. There's Al. He does a class on dowsing for bees, and if you've never thought about that, it's quite interesting and fascinating. So that'll happen all after lunch. And again, the thing is if you have a question or something that's not been addressed to your satisfaction, find somebody to talk to them. Again, all the people here that help are members of our beekeeping association and all volunteers. And again, the cool thing about this is we all get to share our experience and knowledge and learn from each other about how to be a better beekeeper. And I've been coming here probably about 13 years, but this is the 30th year that Kent's had a school here. So yeah, great accomplishment. Great accomplishment. Kudos to Kent. The last thing I'll mention is there's a couple of really cool raffle prizes that's up there. My mother-in-law sits up there, and if you can stand her temperament, she'll sell you a ticket. But there's a painted hive kit. There's a swarm trap. There's some other things. Anyway, we're selling raffle tickets. All those proceeds go to the bee club to help pay for this. And certainly at lunchtime, we have a donation bucket that's much appreciated. Again, that's how we pay for the food and the things that we have to hold this event here at Kent's Farm. And of course, we wouldn't be able to do it without Kent and Valerie's not only support but willingness to host this and have everything go on at their farm for 3 days out of 365. So appreciate that, Kent. Thank you very much. And so again, does anybody have any questions? Anything I haven't addressed yet, or is there, Chris? Yeah.
Basic hive inspection. There's 2 groups. Maybe 3 of us be right out here. And if you need a basic hive inspection after lunch, we'll meet right out here again. Because it's hard to see everything you want to do, and you might want to come. Hey, I thought about something at lunch. We'll go look again. So right after lunch, right out here, same place. We'll do it again.
Fantastic. Other people that are here with us today, Will Reburn from Highs for Heroes. Wave your hand real well. Yeah, yep.
One thing, yes, free. For a medical reason, I want to be able to thank the people who are red. I want to thank you today.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a experienced beekeeper, 3 years or more, sometimes 2, if you are willing to mentor a veteran or a first responder in an effort to prevent suicide, please stop by our table and sign up as a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Great program. Thanks, Will. Anyway, after lunch, we got we're going to do the drawings for the door prizes. So if you haven't signed up yet, do that. Certainly, you can do it at lunchtime as well. And then after lunch, we've got a table full of door prizes. Of course, the bee barn and Chris Noss has donated some things. Some of our members have donated some items. The dance sent a nice little care kit over with a hive kit and a smoker and some hive tools. So we've got people from all over supporting our group. And again, these are things we'll give away. So at lunchtime, we'll have a ticket for the door prize as well that everybody gets. But if you're interested in the raffle, head up there now or before lunch, because sometime after lunch we'll get make those drawings. And unfortunately, you don't have to be here to win. So some of the people that were here the last couple of days, they might win. So unfortunately, but if you win, you're gonna be taking it home today. Anything else?
Yeah, I was going to say. If you're an absolute beginner and like hive equipment and all of that kind of like intimidates you, between Chuck's mating talks, just find me and I'll meet you up over where the bee barn is, and we can talk. Equipment.
Fantastic. So hive equipment. Jordan Allen will take care of that for you. And again, that's just right up here. And of course, again, anybody that you have a question, just ask and get pointed in the right direction. So, yes, sir.
Which group would I go to if I want to handle a bee? Like catch a drone, catch a worker, and maybe someday touch one of your queens.
Go with me. Go. We're going to get into the bees a lot earlier today than we have been the last 2 days.
Yeah, right.
We're going to try to get into the bees by 3 o'clock this afternoon today.
She's been here before.
But that's part of it. We're going to set up a cell builder, demonstrate that, pick a hive to grab from. But in the process of all that, we're also going to catch and mark drones and catch workers and put workers.
Oh, thank God! I've been named
into.
That's fun. You should do that.
JZBZ things.
Yeah, you should do that.
And just go with us, and we'll do that.
Yeah. Just FYI, you have to do that barehanded. So yeah, cool.
What time are you gonna be doing the queen grafting? Is that after lunch? Or?
The queen grafting will probably be directly after lunch. Yeah.
I don't think I missed anything, but if I have, I'm sorry. If I haven't called you out, again, we'll work on that in a little bit. But any other questions? Any other comments? Let's put our bee suits on. Let's go to work. Appreciate it.
Sounds good.